To start off with, this video isn't sponsored at all. I wanted to actually make this to thank everyone who took part in the sponsorship campaign this week and made it successful, to reflect on my feelings towards the game and the sponsorship itself, as well as talk about what it means going forward. So how did it start? I genuinely have no idea. I'm not joking, this sponsorship with Stream Elements and Raid came out of literally nowhere. I've known about Stream Elements for a long time, but I've only really been using their platforms and tools quite recently in my streaming. And if you're familiar with my YouTube and my Twitch, you'll understand that words like regular and consistent aren't exactly in my vocabulary. In fact, my last YouTube video was 3 months ago, and it took like 10 minutes from concept to actually posting it, and I'm not even a Twitch affiliate, so in terms of pure metrics, the opportunity was surprising. And in terms of Raid, you're probably familiar with the barrage of adverts and memes over the years, and how many claims there were about it being quite a money-grabbing game to play properly. Truth be told, if this sponsorship had come directly from them, I probably would have dismissed it, but I know and trust Stream Elements, so I decided at the very least to look into it. Ticking the boxes. Before getting into anything, I decided to have a look at some of the technicalities, what's going to stop me from having this be a successful campaign, what are the checkpoints, what is the bare minimum that I need to hit in order to actually get some sort of payout and to decide whether this is something I even want to take on in the first place. The entry requirements were actually quite simple. I needed 2 people to download the game and to hit level 15. And the maximum amount on a successful campaign would be 10 people to download via the link and to hit level 15. So naturally my next question was, what are the requirements for someone to play and hit level 15? What does that ask of someone? And of course my main concern with all of the claims that I'd heard over the years is, am I then asking people to spend money? Turns out the answer is no. It doesn't require you to spend any money whatsoever, and from a time aspect, even if you were to play it quite casually, it'd only take you about an hour or 2 to get to that point. I talked it out with a few friends, discussed it on my Discord, and the general consensus was to just go for it. Worst case scenario, I'd get some experience from it and understand what it's like to run a sponsored campaign. Best case scenario, we get some money in our pocket, which means we can finally upgrade this PC that, bless it, has been struggling. So I took a bit of time to think about how I wanted to go about doing this, whether I wanted to just purely do promoted streams where we would play Raid, whether I wanted to mix and match it with my own content, and how frequently am I going to stream so that we can get some engagement going. I plan to do short daily streams after work to mix and match my content, and it came with a few benefits. Not only would I be promoting the campaign, I'd be getting myself used to streaming on regular occasion again, and on top of that, it would give me an opportunity to get back into the creative mindset and the routine and method of going about making creative content. Working with the intention of having a fully successful campaign meant that I would be able to upgrade the PC and lift some of the restrictions that prevent me from creating content for other games and editing to a higher standard, though the bad humor is staying. So how did it go? Streaming hit a fair few bumps, with internet being the main cause. I downloaded Raid ahead of time ready for the stream, made sure it was up to date via the launcher, but the first time I went to play it on stream, the stream died. It was baffling and irritating. I tried to fix it on the stream, but it was only about an hour after cancelling the stream altogether while I was troubleshooting all of this that I figured out what had been going on in the first place. I wanted to play the game on stream from the very beginning, and what I didn't realise was that during this forced unskippable tutorial, the game actually updates in-game as well as via the launcher. So while you're playing this tutorial, there is actually a passive download going on in the background, and it was causing interference because my internet's quite limited. Once you get past the initial tutorial and you end up back at the Bastion, sort of the main hub of the game, you can actually see the little download icon going around saying that it's updating. But at the time, of course, I couldn't see this, so I didn't really understand what was happening. But aside from my internet issues, once we actually got to play the game on stream, it was actually pretty smooth sailing. So what are my thoughts on Raid? It was actually pretty easy to get to grips with. There were plenty of game modes to try out to find your groove and to keep things interesting, and a personal point for me were actually the quests. When games have an abundance of content, it can often leave me feeling lost for direction and purpose, and I can quickly lose interest. But a little nudge or reminder of, hey, beat this level and we'll give you a little reward, actually helps to keep me engaged and focused. The moment that I realized the game has stuff like an energy-based system in order to do actions, so doing a dungeon run, for example, means that you need to have X amount of energy, and an upgrade system that can sometimes fail depending on like the rarity and the level that you upgrade to, I was fully ready for this to be one of those games where you're sat waiting around desperately clinging for some resource in order to do the next step. But actually it wasn't that at all, it was quite the inverse. In fact, I'm sat there with quite a lot of excess energy, and by the time that I would even remotely get close to running out, it's refilled. And the daily active rewards are actually a nice little cherry on top, although I do find my arena tokens are refilling faster than I can use them. One aspect I actually genuinely love is the auto battle system. When pushing for progression in the campaign or in dungeons, or even when you're in PvP arena battles, it's great to meticulously plan each and every move to make sure you're getting the most out of your heroes and your composition. But if you just need to grind for armor sets, for stat rerolls, or even just for resources in general, it's nice to let the game play itself. You can check in on it and make sure that it's doing fine and just hit the replay button if you don't have something like multi-battles on, but being able to do something else, like as a streamer, chat and engage with people, talk about things without having to feel strained all the time, or if you're sat at home, you know, just watching some TV or even playing another game at the same time, it's quite a relaxing take. As I mentioned before, this isn't a sponsored video, so that also means we're going to talk about some of the critiques of the game because it's not all singing, all dancing. One of those things is the sheer number of times that when you come back to the main hub, the Bastion, you get a little pop-up that says, buy this bundle, buy that bundle, and it is a free game, they need to make money. Money being spent on the game is the reason why we have a sponsorship in the first place, but it just feels like an interruption into your natural game flow. I understand, like, when you load up the app, here's the latest deal and stuff like that, but when it becomes quite frequent and when there's two in a row that take up a majority of the screen, it's quite a bugbear. The only other major point would be the fact that if you happen to have been unlucky like myself and you haven't landed yourself a few rarer champions via the Ascendant shards that are available in the game, progress can feel like it stagnates pretty hard. You can still upgrade some things, you can still grind out some materials and move forward inch by inch incrementally, but the moment that you get a rarer champion and you're able to upgrade your overall comp, it feels like a massive jump in progression. To give a comparison between me and somebody else that's in the clan, we're more or less the same level on account overall, but they have more legendary heroes than I do and more epic heroes than I do, and they're able to take on far more of the game in terms of progression, dungeon styles, and reap those rewards. So that side of things can feel a little bit bad if you don't get any good luck. In my case, I haven't opened anything above a rare champion from any of my Ascendant shards, and I think I've opened about 6 or 7 at this point. But that's it. My outlook on Raid without playing it has been quite negative over the years, but once I've actually given it a try, gotten over some of the initial teething issues, personal issues like internet and stuff like that, it's actually pretty fun, and it's definitely a good time killer. Plus, it's always fun to whack down enemies with a giant sword and see massive damage numbers. It gives the brain happy chemicals. I'm likely to continue to play Raid both on and off stream, away from this campaign and away from this sponsorship. So for anyone interested, we do have a clan that's set up with the clan tag PSLR that you're more than welcome to come along and join, and we'll work on some clan stuff together. I haven't even begun to explore that yet. Looking back, despite it going really fast and it only being a week-long campaign, there's a lot to look back on and consider about both the good and the bad aspects of it. I feel truly uplifted in the amount of support from you all, and my expectations for hitting this goal were completely blown out of the water. And given my wildly inconsistent schedule when it comes to streaming, the amount of you that turned out for those streams was just truly incredible. On the bad side, something that I didn't like is how it felt to push for that goal after the first couple of days and announcements. I'm the sort of person who can't stand it where people go on and on about things and sponsorships and pushes you to hit those milestones. And I get that for things like this it's needed, but it rubs me up the wrong way, so if I take on a sponsorship like this again in the future, I want to find a different way to approach it. So what's next? Well, the money from the campaign can take up to a month to come in, but I'm planning to buy the PC part sooner since I get paid, and I'll actually use the sponsorship money to pay off the other things that I would have paid off before. You get the gist. That means in the coming weeks, I should be able to start doing more in terms of content creation, play some of those new games mentioned, and maybe pick up a certain Hearthstone series that totally hasn't been left gathering dust. One game in particular that I'm really looking forward to both making content for and streaming live is going to be Hunt Showdown. I want to get back to streaming regularly again, and it won't be as much as it has been during this campaign week. It's been quite a personal challenge and a push for this, but I want to try and at least aim for maybe once a week going forwards. I'm also looking to challenge myself to post some content to other social media platforms outside of YouTube and Twitch. And that's it for the Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship review. That's way too long. Let's just go with the Raid review, shall we? I want to thank everybody that took part, everybody that I spoke to separately, everybody that turned up for streams, everybody that downloaded and played the game, and everybody that spoke about this with me on my Discord, not just for making this sponsorship a successful one, but for supporting me, trying something new, and for enabling me to move forwards and potentially do more in the future. As always, be safe, be excellent to one another, and game on.